everyone, welcome to today's last IndieX 2020 session, and we wanted to end on a high note when we defined today's calendar. It's already been some full days, some full pretty awesome games along this all these days, and when we watched our finalists, we decided, let's finish Saturday night with Saturnalia, and it's a pleasure to have here one of its creators, Pietro Righi Riva from Santa Ragione, and I've been working my Italian accent to nail this perfectly.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
Pietro, how are you?
I'm good. I had a very relaxing Saturday, and now I'm all stressed out because we are showing the game for the first time.
Really?
It's a pretty big deal.
Oops.
Yeah, this is the game's never been shown live.
Whoa, that's no pressure for us.
It's a big one.
Yeah, no pressure for us.
I mean, not for you, but for me. I'm curious.
So I was telling you off the record before we came live that yesterday I spoke about Saturnalia with one of our sessions, and I will tell you why. Because yesterday, one of the finalists for the PlayStation Talents 2020 finalists in Portugal is a game called Caretos, and Caretos is an old tradition from the northern part of Portugal that is still like an heritage from our Celtic tribes that lived on north of Portugal before the Romans arrived. And it's still a tradition that we keep today in Carnival. For example, there's a word that the Portuguese have for Carnival, which is entrudo, which is actually losing its usefulness because most of the people just use the word Carnaval, that of course we have inherited from the Romans, but I said to the author Matilda, I said, please tomorrow watch Saturnalia because they are doing the same thing that you do. They are bringing to a small region of Italy, and I know you'll speak more about this, with an old tradition. That I think it's even it was before or during the Roman Empire or before the Roman Empire that the Saturnalia festivities were around.
That's the thing. It's exactly the same thing because there are Celtic and even prehistoric festivals and traditions that predate Saturnalia, and like all these cultures that move into these places. I imagine it's the same with the north of Portugal, kind of like adopted the local. Undocumented traditions and made them theirs, and so it's probably really the same thing. Even as we don't really know where the original people that populated Sardinia came from, but like there are findings of runes that would remind you of Celtic runes as well. So we don't. It's like there's this population all across Europe that we really don't know where they came from that brought in these rituals that persisted across history. So I'm super connected. I'm super interested in checking it out.
And it's cool to see, especially here on the southern part of Europe, that we have lots of similar traditions that predated Romans and the Roman Empire, and they were absorbed into the Roman Empire. And later, into the Christian festivities. That's what happened with Saturnalia, wasn't it? Because Saturnalia was around which 23rd of December, was it?
Well, it's debated 17th, 21st. Like it all comes down to the winter solstice. Of course. It has a natural occurrence that was captured and made into a ritual, and then of course it became Saturnalia, it became Christmas, and it's always the same thing. And this is really one of the themes of the game, is this existing tradition and ritual that keeps across generations and across cultures, and what that means.
I think there's more or less, I believe Italy must have some traditions close to Easter that later were adopted by the actual Christianity to connect with the ascension of Christ, because I know that in Portugal we had old traditions around the spring solstice or the spring equinox, and everything connects to these periods of astrological or astronomical importance, isn't it? And it's cool to
Right.
see how things worked, especially well. We of course we have lots of connections between Portugal and Italy, not only the roots of our language, but culturally we have lots of similarities, and it's cool to see this, seeing games and developers like I told you, Matilde yesterday, and now Santa Ragione, picking up these traditions and spreading them globally, and I have to congratulate you on that, because I think there's a dying aspect of our culture that I think it's not passed by to newer generations, or even it's lost in translation and in time. Don't you feel it?
Oh, absolutely. I think, thankfully, there has been a lot of rediscovering of local roots, even in the scene of indie games. And I guess in the 90s, we kind of like, it was a bit unfashionable to talk about our roots and our and the local aspects of life and culture in favor of a more
Yeah,
globalized, easily accessible,
yeah,
non-threatening, non-culturally intensive narrative. But now it might be driven from market because there's an oversaturation. So we're more pushed into finding new things and things that haven't been exploited, quote unquote, and made into a games. But there is also, I think, a very healthy desire to look back and try, as you said, to preserve and to communicate and to celebrate local traditions and local cultures, and even in a critical way. Like, it doesn't have to be. It has nothing to do with nationalism. It has nothing to do with exceptionalism. It's more like, hey, do you know what happened here? And are you interested in knowing how it relates to everything that's happening everywhere? And that's super useful and important. And yeah, I think it's a bit of our responsibility as small developers to kind of like
out
do
of
this research.
out of curiosity, do you see that kind of taking inspiration from old stories and old folklore and old traditions, coming to other artistic mediums? Like, does fumetti artists and writers are implementing that on their books and magazines?
I
Do
I
you
think
feel that?
so. It's yeah, and in cinema and in TV shows. Like, there are TV shows coming from Italy now, produced by Netflix, that
Yeah,
talk about Italian traditions and forgotten places, less known places. It's not everyone has seen Rome, Florence. It's not even that interesting anymore to share that kind of like
Ye-
already globalized Italian culture. So
yeah,
there
but
is definitely.
these traditions do exist on rural areas of Italy. Is it? Like, there are
Oh
still a
yeah,
memory of
absolutely,
this. Is it? I don't know if
for
that's the
sure.
case for, like, in Portugal, like in in the northern part, the small villages. The old people still have these strong traditions, really connected. Like, globalization and the big cities lost all of this, and you still can find these small appointments of old traditions on these spaces. Do you feel that outside of, yeah, Italy's, well, it's a hugely touristic place, isn't it? Like, you talk about Milan and Florence and Rome, but outside of that unknown part, or less touristic places, do you still feel it preserved to this day?
Absolutely, and I would say that even in the more famous, well-known places, there is a lot of tradition and history that is not normally widely known, and that is because Italy is a very young country. It
Yeah,
didn't exist before 1861,
yeah,
so it really is an invented conglomerate of pre-existing uh, um, city countries. So regions that have their own language, their own currency, their own
and
culture, their own
historically
tradition.
they are all, if you think of the Renaissance, for example,
Yeah.
the importance of Florence at that time, and how different what we now know as Italy wasn't it? um,
Yeah, no,
Connecting
exactly.
everything, connecting everything
The,
must
the, the
be.
Renaissance is a good time period when I've studied to observe this, um, the fact that Italy as an entity didn't exist, and it was more like these cities competing with each other
Yeah.
for the best art, the best culture, and that it still exists today. Like if you were traveling across Italy and you were eating at a trattoria, a different one in each region, you would eat widely different food.
Yeah.
So even on that, like when you go to a foreign country and there's like an Italian restaurant, it's always weird for us. It's like Italian from where? There's
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
no
Yeah.
Italian food. There's like, and that's it's just an example. Like everything's like that. So I think there is an enormous potential of stories to be told that relate to more specific traditions, more localized traditions that are there to be discovered and celebrated and challenged.
By the way, we have several people on our chat saying your art style is great, your art style is great, your
Thank you.
game looks great, and it really does. I have one. While I start the game, we have one question I'd like to ask you, which is two questions. The first one is, what are your scary inspirations for the way you created Saturnalia? And the second one is, why this art direction? It's really beautiful, but what made you decide on this art direction?
So even though I'm directing the game, we believe in a sort of like profound and respectful separation of duties, in that we are not super hierarchical in how we make the game, and we like the people that contribute to the game to contribute their own artistic vision. So this would be a better question for our art director, Marta Gabas. She comes from a background in theater stage design.
Okay.
And she did this reinterpretation of the traditional the Italian giallo classics of the 70s and the 80s. So she went back to the Dario Argentos of that time and crossed it with the you could say German expressionism to create this world that doesn't look quite right. And on top of that, I think the etched look and the limited frame animations, they kind of contribute to this realistic but not quite real look that the entire game has. But again, should be more prepared to answer these questions, because it's really is her vision coming to life.
You talk about Argento, and as a horror cinema fan like I am, Italy was always one of I think the main inspiration, especially on when you're not looking into Hollywood and all those blockbusters. Italy were like the main inspiration for that period, even 70s and 80s. Argento, of course, is one of the biggest names, but you have a specific I'll use Italian aesthetic, okay, and I can almost feel that rhythm in Saturnalia, are you conscious of that? Yeah, are you conscious of that rhythm?
Yes, it's very deliberate, and also very, if I may say, it's very hard to pull because the game is completely non-linear and open world, quote unquote. So we really have not much control over what players will experience when they will experience it. So the game kind of like leaves these spaces for exploration and for observation and for the thrill of wait while you're trying to understand and the two layers in which the horror happens. And so it's deliberate, but it's also very fragile in a way.
We're starting the game now. I know you have a small delay. Something curious I have to share with you. I've never been to Sardinia, and I believe this is faithful to what Sardinia looks like. I almost have a feel of some locations in Portugal, looking at Sardinia, how everything is like a small puzzle of buildings. The streets themselves look like they were almost random, but they create their own labyrinth, and it's a cool aspect. I remember when I was playing this, I was talking with the rest of the team, and all of us agree that there's some kind of this could be a Portuguese location. And then again, I've never been to Sardinia, so
I think so. There is some aspects that you pointed out that are common to all these medieval villages, really, that are usually built on top of even older. What's the word? Villages that
from
where people used to live.
From povoações, like small settlements that evolved into small.
And that is so. And keep in mind, Sardinia is a very popular tourist location. Okay. But when we think of it, people that have been to it, they think about as a going to these wonderful beaches with the white sand, and it's a place for summer holidays. But there is the whole interior away from the sea that is not as often represented or known or explored. And also the game takes place in winter, of course, because it's taking place during Saturnalia. And so it's like, even if it's in Sardinia, maybe it's not the traditional Sardinia that you would imagine or know if you travel there.
But this is the Sardinia I could expect from Italian horror movie.
Yeah, for sure. That's the idea.
Well, and the other resemblances, of course, are the churches look exactly the same, and even the signposts, because they have the same aesthetic. Yeah. I'll send you some photos afterwards of some.
Something happened with the game that really shouldn't have happened.
Like I just teleported inside the.
You clipped through the church. I don't know what's gonna happen now. You shouldn't be here right now.
Yeah, I know.
I would probably recommend
restarting. We've been having this kind of magic of breaking games during IndieX, so we're sorry for that. It wasn't on purpose.
No, it's bound to happen.
Yeah,
that's the risk. That's the risk that we take.
João is telling. We have two curious comments. One of them is from Nuno Marques, who is saying, "The main menu alone freaked me out. With the whole red blood freezes the hard stuff." And João is saying, "It suggests an horror, lets your imagination work." Yeah, and I think that's the most effective kind of horror.
Let's see what happens when you reload the game. I'm not sure that things won't break.
Nah, everything's well.
I'm seeing things in delay, so if it doesn't make sense to the people looking at the stream, just know that I'm like a few seconds behind.
I'm back on the road, so.
Yeah, I love our title screen. I'm super proud of it. It's this poem that was actually written by my father.
Oof.
He used to be, he's still alive, but he's not a journalist anymore. He's retired. And since he stopped working, I've forced him to write lyrics and text for our games.
Okay.
He wrote the songs for Wheels of Aurelia, our previous commercial game before Saturnalia. And now he wrote this poem that's been read by an English actress with an English accent. That is the background for the main menu.
Can I ask you, how was the decision? I believe it. Of course, it will be a commercial decision. You don't have to go into details. But how was the decision of having this on Epic? Because it will be at least a timed exclusive of Epic.
Yes, it will be on PC time exclusive. We haven't announced any other platforms yet. That will be up to our publisher, Quantum Astrophysicists Guild, that picked up the game. And the reason is they let us finish the game. This is a very big game for us. It's by far the most expensive, the biggest budget thing that we've ever worked on. And we were at a point where we just needed to finish this really big, really ambitious game. And so Epic came in, and they, without going into details, of course, they'd allowed us to kind of like, as they say, fulfill the original vision and like make it come to fruition. So yeah, we're very grateful, and I think they're doing it's what some people that are critical to Epic going for the exclusive don't understand is that a lot of these games maybe wouldn't have existed if Epic didn't say, "Oh yeah, this looks exciting. I'm gonna invest in it," and so they really made this possible.
The thing is, all the backlash that happened, and I remember recently the case with the developers of Wooblets. I think you have to be prepared for that because people are people. Didn't Depeche Mode say that? People are people.
Yeah,
and it's a fact.
And I understand. And as a player, I am of course, I don't enjoy being forced on a particular platform to play. Ideally, both players and developers would want everything to be everywhere. To be, nothing makes me more happy than to have the biggest amount of players being able to play my game. But then, the cruel reality of
you have to choose what's best for you have to choose what's best for your company. Yeah, of course. By the way, how many people are developing Saturnalia at this moment?
It's hard to say a specific number because it's gone and it's going through very many different phases of development where the development team shifts back and forth, so in numbers as well. I would say in total, probably when the game is finished and done, it will be about probably 50 people that have contributed to it. Some of it have been on it for 3.5 years, and some of them have worked on it for 2 weeks.
How close to the real Sardinia is Saturnalia?
That's an interesting question. So basically, we never strive for realism with this game, and that means both on a rendering and aesthetics side of things, and in making the place feel real. Because as I said before, it's more about expressionism. So kind of like conveying the feeling of the place rather than the true reality of the place. But that said, what happened in January 2017 is that we were the first game in Italy to be supported by a film commission. And film commissions are these offices in regions in Italy whose objective is to promote the tourism and the culture of a region. And they picked us up to be their first video game, and they flew us to Sardinia for 7 days, and they made us tour the island and took us and our art director, our sound director, to all the places they wanted to visit. And all these real places have been taken and turned into parts and bits of this fictional village in which the game takes place.
By the way, Pietro,
are you lost? Do I need to give you directions?
No, I'm focusing.
It's hard to navigate while we're speaking.
No, because when I was evaluating the game, I was only focused on this, and now I'm so interested in the conversation we're having that I'm just doing tourism in fictional Sardinia.
So I guess it's worth telling your.
So now I'm on the stairs of the church, and I need to go to the villa from Domenico.
Right. So you can see the villa from there. I'm not seeing the screen that you're seeing it right now, but I'm imagining you're seeing the villa from there. So it's like you keep left, and try to find the first entrance to the left. It will take you to the villa. So one thing that's worth mentioning that's maybe confusing our viewers right now is that the village in which the game takes place is procedural. So every time you play, it changes. So even if you've played the game before, it's going to be a different structure of streets and roads. And on top of that, even through a single playthrough, if you lose all of your characters and you reach quote unquote a game over, the village gets reshuffled. So you will never really quite be able to learn the geography of this place.
We've been complimenting the art direction, which of course and several people have told you so. It's amazing, but we also have to compliment your sound designer, because the environment is. I don't know if this is being passed well enough during the stream, but I'm playing with my headset, and the quality of sound is so good. Yeah, you have a small hint of this on the main menu with that whispering, the poem that your father wrote. But playing this, you feel everything. Like there's some kind of oppression in the air. Do you,
I'm really happy to hear. It's our pride. So we and I think, sound design, of course, this is obvious, but it's such a big part of what makes a horror game a powerful horror game. And we've worked on this with two sound designers, Nicolo Sala and Michael Manning, who've been working on Santa Ragione games since our first game, Photonica, came out in its first prototype in 2011. So it's been a really long collaboration, and they've gotten so good over the years, and I'm really blessed to have been able to work with them on this one.
I know when you guys are watching this, then again I think you have a delay, but I have a portrait for our Portuguese viewers. I have a portrait of the Murguias sisters, and this photo could have been taken in north of Portugal.
Yeah,
it looks like the same kind of. Now you're watching on Facebook. It looks like it's strange. Everything seems so familiar for me. Even the furniture. I don't know. I hope I haven't lived in a horror movie before, but I felt really at home in Saturnalia.
Even the furniture itself is recreated based on our location scouting that we did in Sardinia.
Okay.
So we took pictures and videos of houses, of the 19th century and how they were furnished, and they recreated some of those pieces. So one thing that is a little weird about this game is that we decided to leave the control to all dialogue to the player. So there is basically no auto-triggering dialogue. So whenever you want to hear what characters are thinking, you press circle on your pad if you're playing with a PlayStation 4 controller, and you will when you have that balloon over her head, if you press then you will hear what they're thinking, and it's always contextual to what is happening. So basically, if you want to play more like a gamey game and don't want to care about the story too much, you can do that, or you can at any time kind of like wonder and explore more by hearing your character's thoughts.
Something cool. If you haven't told me that the village was procedurally generated, I didn't know it actually.
Well, we're gonna work on our marketing on that. But it's true, because as you said before, those medieval villages just like really feel like labyrinths in real life. They if you're in there, you feel like they're changing, and so we kind of like double down on that and made sure that it really made you feel lost.
I don't know if you're the right person to ask this. Probably you will direct me to your lead artist. We have some kind of yellowish monochrome tones in daylight, but then we change to this violet monochromatic that contrasts. Damn, this is difficult. Contrasts with the lighting of your match. Why did you go for these tones for Saturnalia?
So one thing that maybe is not instantly obvious when looking at the game is that the entire game is really rendered in black and white. So we don't have any color information in the textures that the game is painted in. All the coloring is done in post-processing with a custom lighting system.
Yeah.
And that way we try to achieve, again, similar to Argento's cinematography, use of palettes to express a specific feeling, a specific situation. So different buildings have different colors, different situations have different colors. And as you explore them, as you learn them, you kind of like understand the dictionary, the vocabulary that is happening on that level. And even more than that, the saturation of the game fluctuates. And that also has a gameplay implication that I will not spoil for you now.
Exploring, I can't remember my first playthrough, so please guide me here. Even this clues tree, does it change on each playthrough how it connects
No,
everything?
actually, that's the thing. So even if the game has this kind of like roguelite nature of like you lose your characters, you start again, you have a different village. What is permanent is everything you've discovered, all the shortcuts, all
Okay.
the items you've collected that you're seeing in this screen, they are there forever. So you even run through run, you keep making progress in the story and in the puzzles and in the exploration side of it. So that's never reset, and it's the same for every player. But where everything is constantly different.
We just have Gonçalo saying something, and yeah, after you were saying that everything was rendered in black and white. He has a comment that I believe truly expresses what Saturnalia, what kind of aspect Saturnalia gives us. It's like a moving graphic novel. It's impressive, and I totally agree with you, Gonçalo. That's exactly the feeling that you instantly have with Saturnalia.
Thank you. There is a very important tradition of comic books
Yeah, yeah.
in Italy.
Fumetti.
Yeah, exactly. That I think have their own distinct style
Yeah.
and feel, and we drew from there too, of course. If you
So,
I'm personally, aside from the big names, the classic like Sergio Toppi, we went back even to the more popular one like Dylan
Dylan
Dog. I
Dog.
don't know
Yeah.
if you've ever
Yeah.
heard of
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
one. It's a famous Italian
I've
horror
read
comic book.
almost everything from Dylan Dog, and although I have to admit I don't speak Italian, and not every time I had the patience to go to Google to translate.
Oh yeah.
But I have a friend from Napoli that is a huge fan of Dylan Dog, and I started reading it. I was actually going to ask how much of Dylan Dog do you have in terms of this?
Yeah, I think it's one of the inspirations for sure. If you like in that comic book as well, he is often exploring these villages in the UK because it takes place in London and across England and the United Kingdom. But since the authors are Italian and the, the people making the drawings are Italian, then he always ends up in these non quite accurate medieval towns
Yeah.
that are supposed to take place in England, but they look like Italian medieval towns. And I think it has some of this atmosphere.
Gonçalo just said like Ubisoft will remake this game in 20 years, but remove the art style.
Low blow, low blow.
Who knows?
Who knows? Hopefully. That means it's going to be a success.
Yeah, it will make you rich. I hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you guys listen to this eerie sound in this moment? Awesome. Let's go. Okay. Paul lost my map in
So,
here.
a mechanic that we have. So, of course, as you've probably seen now, the matches play a big role in how you're playing because they are this limited resource that you have. And the way we use it, aside from widening the space that you can see at any time, they also highlight interactive items. So
Yeah.
now you're looking for the map that Paul dropped, and it's close to where you met him. So if you go back there with your match on, you will notice something that otherwise you would miss. And we're teaching you here that any place that you explore, you could be missing important hints anywhere unless you have the match light on. At that point, important clues and things to collect will shine, and you will know that they are there. So you're constantly balancing, your limited resource of matches with your need to find the interesting points.
Nuno is telling that the motherfucker, and you know what we're talking about, looks like our caretos of Lanzarin. That was that old tradition that I told you that carnival tradition of having men and boys dressed up of some kind of demons and go around the village screaming and pulling pranks on people. Let's leave the surprise of how the guy looks if we get there. I don't know if we'll get there, maybe this will only be like a teaser for people
yeah,
watching
I
this.
think horror is all about not showing the threats. So. But yeah, like even in Sardinia, those carnivals, we have those masked carnivals. And the interesting part of it is that each single village that are, 5-10 kilometers apart, they have their own mask, their own tradition, their own cult of these figures that are completely different, and they have their own meaning and their own history. And so as you travel through there's even a mask museum in Sardinia where you go there and they all have all these different masks from different towns on display, and they teach you what they mean, where they come from, and their history. And it's really cool. And it was really important to us to place this game into a fictional town that didn't misappropriate any of the existing traditions, but instead built its own.
So this whatever is happening here, do you have any kind of inspiration of what basis do you have? It's completely fictional or not? Do you have any
That's the thing, like the place it takes place in is fictional, but it's made of many different existing villages parts. The village, the church is from somewhere, the town hall is from somewhere else, the interiors are from somewhere else, but it all kind of like collects details from existing places without really being a real one, for obvious reasons that players will discover as they play through the story and discover the background of the characters and what is happening. It's not something that we would have wanted to tie to a real place.
Yeah. But I believe you must have this old folklore that could also have been used as a source for this kind of horror environment, don't you?
And yes, like all the existing folklore has been taken into consideration and re-elaborated and remixed to create the game's own myths that you encounter as you progress.
Here I am in the bell tower.
Okay.
Huh.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
I'm looking. I'm really nervous.
The tradition of ex-voto, as we say in Portuguese. I just watched now you seeing it, the ex-voto.
Yes.
Yeah, I can hide in the confessional. I didn't remember this. Okay, so let's go to the bell tower. I'm having fun exploring the church, but I think everyone is like thinking, what's going to happen? Am I getting a jump scare? Wait. This is where I came in.
You have to leave from the side door. I don't know if you've already done that.
Yeah. Thank you. I think I shouldn't have... Okay. Okay. I think I didn't trigger that when I played my past year. I didn't trigger this. Remember if I was supposed to go here or not? Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm seeing everything.
Yeah. I'm getting close. No, this is frightening because I just left the scaffold.
Oh.
Okay, I triggered that. Anita, meatball at the mines. Really, you want me to read? Can't believe this is happening. Okay, so let's meet Paul in the mines. I think I still know how to find an entrance to the Matronium. Huh.
So the thing is, as I was mentioning before, the game being open world, you can really tackle any puzzle and any missions and quests in any order.
Yeah.
And the story will adapt to the sequence of actions that you do and what happens to your characters. Basically, this scene where something appeared in the church and you escaped from it could have ended up in various ways. And now you have all these different options that are open to you and things you can explore and try. And based on what you decide to do next, the different routes become available to you. So there's sort of like a Metroidvania layer to it where certain parts of the village only become available to you once you get certain tools. So you keep exploring and opening paths and getting access to new areas and finding new quests inside those areas. And the game will kind of adapt to which one you decide to tackle first.
That's something that I feel it was really smart in terms of gameplay, is that you see some people in front of you, but you can, at least until this moment, you can never interact with them. If you start running, they run in front of you and they disappear.
Can't say anything.
No, I wouldn't ask you to. I want to play this till the end.
So by the way, this is a pretty long game. We don't have the hard figures yet, but it's not. It's a pretty meaty game. It's a long game. So what you're seeing right now is just a tiny bit of the beginning.
What's your what date are you aiming for to the final release?
No comment.
Okay. Well, a good answer could also be when it is as good as we know it will be. Could it be a good answer?
It's a very dangerous take to do that. So I'm gonna say it's coming soon.
Yeah. So now we're playing with Paul, and
this is a flashback.
Yeah.
So,
a few hours before
yeah.
Anita.
So still sunset. It's not night yet, and Paul is in the town hall looking for clues about his father. He's come to Gravoy, to this town, to research and possibly find out what happened to him 30 years before the events of the game.
Out of curiosity, are these real pictures you have on the walls? Like scanned?
They're remixes of real pictures, some of which we acquired, some of which are pictures from our, grandparents and family remixed and used for the game.
Cool. Okay. So, we're now exploring the same villa that Anita went in, aren't we?
Say that again, please.
We are exploring the same villa that Anita visited for a brief moment.
No. This is a completely different building. This is the town hall of the
Oh,
village.
It's the town hall. Okay. So I haven't left yet. I find out what's happening outside. Okay, let's see what's happening. Who's there? You really know how to make us nervous. So let's see. I want slide holder. Oh, it's Santa Lucia procession. Okay. It's a parade. I should take a picture. Think you will teach me how to take a picture? I have.
So each character that you play as in the game has a different ability or power, if you will, that helps you with exploration and taking notes of the different clues that you find. And so we use these flashbacks to kind of like give an intro to who they are and what they can do. And then you are really free in the game to play as whoever you want and doing the different parts of the game with whichever character you choose. And you can even team up with characters and explore the village with two characters at the same time, and that has its implications.
But do you have different outcomes because of that?
Yeah, yes. In a moment-to-moment scenario as to what is happening as you explore, it changes, and it has some long-term implications to the story as well.
But are there like wrong options? For instance, something that you predefined as, if we decide to bring this character in this specific moment, it might be pre-written that something bad will happen to him?
Like the game is really systemic. It doesn't have many scripted moments.
Okay.
So all the situations that happen are kind of like happening in the gameplay as they're happening. So it's more about who can do what, where, and how they will react based to their story compared to the things that are happening around them, rather than, making a bad choice. Also because even if you fail, you can keep on playing the game. So, the story will adapt to that.
No, don't do that. I just said run on the chat. I think it's not time to run, I hope. Something interesting for this layout of the village, although it's precisely generated, is that it feels both claustrophobic enough and labyrinthic enough for you to... You don't have that feeling like, I know exactly where I should go and just do this mechanically, Like
yes, this is something we really worked a lot on. Like I dislike games, and it's not that I dislike them, but I don't think the current AAA open world gameplay solution of marking a pointer on the screen that tells you where to go works with a horror game. So instead, we have these really diegetic signs and maps that are procedurally generated together with the village that direct you to the place that you want to go to for real. And then when you look at the map, you can even pick a location, and then the character will be like, "Oh, I think the pharmacy was that way," and point you organically to where you want to go. And I think that works a little better in terms of
Yeah, the thing is, you've been noticing that most horror games have highly noticeable rails nowadays, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
you feel like you're being driven on the experience. Like, you must feel this in this specific moment, and you must feel that. I think that's what been pulling me away from most horror games in the last few years. Is that kind of you lack agency as a player because you're just being driven by the hand. Now you have to feel. Now you have to be scared. Now you don't have to be scared.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we really strived to achieve the opposite of that for this one, which to me feels new and exciting to do.
Okay. Nothing I can use. I just broke the glass. Oh, I think you...
Nice. So here is an example of the Metroidvania. So since you found the emergency hammer in the van before, now you can access buildings that have glass windows, and that's a new part of the map that becomes accessible to you. So you're now back in the town hall where Paul was during his flashback.
Yeah. Oh, you say municipio. Okay.
Municipio, yeah.
Always learning. Okay. Let me check my... So now I have divert at times electricity, keep an eye on Sergio, find an entrance to the Matronium, search mines for signs. Okay. I'll try to return to the villa. I think I remember the way there. I haven't been there with Paul. think it's here. No, I mean the entrance of the village. Okay, so let's find the church first. Oh, there's a lady there. No, lady, no. Yeah. I'm here. I can go. I think you really have to be on the mindset to start looking at the this branching of the clues, and damn, if this happened to me in real life, I would scream my lungs off. Like feeling really scared in a village I don't know and constantly returning to the same place. Okay, you just
and it's really satisfactory when you kind of like learn how the village behaves and you start to dominate it. And I think we managed to kind of ramp up the difficulty as you learn to do that. So it keeps challenging you, but not quite in the same ways. So I hope that works when people actually get to play.
Oh, this sounds. Oh. No. I just warned my kid not to go look at the monitor now. Oh, I just run into the church. Oh, did I do well? Oh, yes. I just accidentally run into the church and I saved myself.
Well done.
I hope this means in a desperate desperate situation I could find by only luck the specific place to go to. Yeah, I just got scared a lot with that guy, and I think this is a good place to stop the game.
Well, I'm glad you got to have an encounter live for all the viewers.
Yeah. Now it's for posterity. My reaction on a horror game when I got scared by masked something, man or creature, I don't know. Pietro, it's well. Once more, I haven't played Saturnalia for 2 months, I believe. I played it during our evaluation period, and returning here is it instantly reminded me how good your game is, and
thank you.
Never forget to congratulate you and the team for doing this. It's so visually unique. It's so. I think you're getting a good balance between doing original story, and I think this is something that we're lacking in horror video games. We're so used to the same old stories, like Japanese horror, American horror, British horror. Everything is the same, and you're telling a different story with a different environment, and yeah, awesome. I truly believe that Saturnalia will be a huge success because what you have now is already a pretty good game, and
Thank you.
yeah, we're really happy for having you submitting the game and having Saturnalia as forever part of IndieX selection because it's really really good. And
thank you for having us. It was really fun to look at the game with you.
Yeah, I don't know if people want to ask you something. João is saying, when you run from creatures, you always run upstairs. It's known. Yeah. But when you're in despair, you're running for your life. I just run to whatever it, and suddenly I reach the church. So cool. Nuno is telling Alien Isolation had some elements of random alien events, I think. Yeah, it wasn't scripted, if I recall.
Yeah. That's also a game that we looked at, of course, for doing our encounters.
Because I think the first game I remember doing that I wasn't really fond of. Do you remember how Resident Evil 3 Nemesis worked?
Yeah.
Like at the time, I didn't love it when it was released. To be honest, it felt like more like a chore than an actual menace. Do you understand what I'm? I don't know if you felt the
Yeah,
same.
so it's hard to say. Like you can't really judge, these games from our perspective
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
now.
yeah,
Like at the time, it was so innovative, and so it was like a blending, the clock tower permanent monster hunting you with the Resident Evil structure. So it was ambitious in its own way for sure, but they were very limited by the static camera structure of their game. So it's if you think it's still achieved something super remarkable at the time. But I'm a bigger fan of different horror games. I don't know if anyone's played D2 on the Dreamcast. This is Kenji Eno game that is super experimental and a really weird horror game taking place all in the snow, and I would recommend to check that
yeah,
one out. It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's an older classic that not everyone has played.
I think I have it on Steam. I believe it was.
D2,
Yeah, wasn't
I
it
don't
wasn't
think it was
isn't
ever
there?
released on any other
No.
platform.
Am I getting what you're making me search for this? Not D2.
Hmm.
No, you're right. You're right. What was I was thinking of old Japanese game that more or less recently bought to on Steam. Can't remember which one, but yeah. Yeah, but I always prefer like PlayStation 2 generation horror games like Clock Tower and even
Hmm.
Spirit Camera. What was the Japanese game? The name? What was the name of Spirit Camera?
Uh,
Um,
no, don't do this to me.
I can't remember.
Blanking.
It. Can't.
Hardcore. Uh,
Yeah,
uh, oh my god. Yeah, that one.
yeah.
Great.
I
Yeah.
always liked that approach. Even when Silent Hill, the first one, with technical limitations, I always were more connected with that than what, for example, Resident Evil
Yeah.
3 did. But
And stuff like Siren as well, I think was an inspiration from us, especially in its like
Forbidden Siren,
puzzly situations. Yeah, Forbidden
Forbidden
Siren.
Sirens, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, then again, Saturnalia. What a great game. I think all of the horror fans out there are going to love it because, yeah, it has a unique, a distinct art style. It tells a different tale, which is something we're truly missing. I think we're getting so. There's a saturation of themes on horror. Don't you feel it? I think, for example, you were speaking about Netflix, and I think Netflix is doing something great with the European creators, which is
mhm,
bringing different stories to the major public, um,
for sure.
and I think I think we need this also on video games. I understand that for some developers, it's safer to go into like a known story and something that people can relate to, but it's so much fun to find something different nowadays, don't you think? And it's courageous, but it's also more fun to video game critics and for the public to find a different story. And I truly believe that Saturnalia is telling a different story.
Thank
So
you. I hope everyone will agree when it comes out, and we're looking
yeah,
forward
yeah,
to playing this game.
I truly believe it. Pietro, well, people are saying best way to close today. It's true. It looks amazing. Also true. Very impressive indeed. It's a fact, and we can only congratulate you and leave you with a small wish. We
Yep.
hope that next year all this craziness of the pandemic is over, and what could be again a physical event with our around 50 inside the XL Games World and having like 50K visitors. And we truly hope to have Saturnalia with us in Lisbon and showcasing your game to the Portuguese public. It would be an
Uh,
honor to us. Okay.
it would be a true pleasure. I'm looking forward to it. I miss these events, and I really love, small curated events where you get to, meet the players and also meet all the creators of, these radical new things.
Yeah.
And I really miss. that kind of vibe. So let's hope.
Pietro, thanks again for being with us. Congratulations to
Thank
the
you so
rest of the
much.
team. The best of luck, best of luck and the best of talent to develop Saturnalia till the end. And for us, it's the last session for today. We will return tomorrow at 10 for our last day of VindieX. Stay tuned for more great games and keep your hopes up that we got you in this high note with Saturnalia and we can keep up tomorrow with the rest of our finalists. So thank you, Pietro, and see you all tomorrow. Good night to everyone.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.